aware that you had violated the health and safety protocols and what that process was like for you in coming back and going through that investigation, one, and then secondly, what your communication was like with the team while you were away.
Happy to be back. Happy to be around these guys, address the team, address everybody that need to be addressed. Now it's time to move on.
Bruce Beck.
Health and safety front.
I'm sorry, Malika, go ahead.
I just was circling back on the health and safety front.
Happy to be back.
Jay?
So, he also said a lot more though, Key. He said things like, when things become overwhelming in life, you just got to take a step back and realize what's important. And I love to play. It's never been a question. I've committed myself when this wasn't even a big thing for me. He talks about mental health. He talks about some family challenges. And he also said that he addressed everybody on his team and his coaching staff. Look, as long as he's addressed everybody on the team and the GM and the owner, whatever happened, that's between them. There's going to be a lot of ancillary noise that comes around it. But I also would like to remind people all the great things that Kyrie Irving has done in the community. I'm not saying one makes up for the other, but there is a lot of good that Kyrie Irving brings. And at the end of the day, his teammates and the team owner and the GM, they're going to have to manage that relationship, and we're going to be on the outside paying attention to whether it actually translates to the court.
Look, and I said this before, and I'll say it again. Addressing your team and the ownership group and the coaches, that's all I care about. You don't have to answer the questions at all if you choose to do so. I mean, I would like for you to sit up maybe and, maybe not lean forward and act as though you're being bothered, but he is who he is, and you have to take it for what it is and roll with it. But as long as he addressed the team and the ownership group, like you said, and told them what the deal was, he owes nothing to the fans and nothing to the media at all.
Okay, that's how I look at it. As a teammate, I'm like, look, I don't care whatever you say to the media. I don't care if people want to criticize you, kill you, whatever it is. As long as you're performing on the court and you're riding with us, as long as you're here and you're present with us, we good, because at the end of the day, it's about winning a championship, and that's what they're all there to do.
Yeah, team, addressing the team, winning a championship, talking to the coaches and the owners, and not harming yourself. I'm good. You ain't never got to talk to the media as far as I'm concerned. I could care less, Zubin.
And we should mention that at the end of the day, Kyrie is a human just like everybody else. So you have to accept the total package. You take the good with the bad. Everybody has good days, bad days. Yes, he's an all-world baller, but he's also, as Jay said, somebody that's a humanitarian. He's somebody that wants to put forth better things civically, whether it's the George Floyd story some of you may have heard about the other day, or paying the salary of the WNBA players who generally are living paycheck to paycheck and giving them an opportunity to survive financially when there was no basketball. You got to take all of it in stride.
But that's not sexy, right? Sports media wants the sexiness. The sexiness is leaning forward and mumbling one or two words so we could talk about it. They don't want to talk about the George Floyd stuff. That ain't everywhere posted all over sports centers and blogs. And
I would argue with you.
It's not sexy
You
enough.
really think that they swept that George Floyd story under the rug? It was on every mainstream publication.
It's not swept under the rug. It's not talked about. You may blast it, but you're not having a conversation on a constant basis about the things that he does off the court that's important to him. You're more concerned with his mumbling and his one-word answers. That's the reality of it. That's why we're talking about it this morning, Zubin.
No, it's part and parcel. It's part and parcel. The mainstream media puts it out there, and then it's basically upon the rest of the mainstream media to discuss it. So to say the mainstream media or big outlets aren't discussing that, it's everywhere.
It's one conversation about it. Then it's gone. Then it's gone. Then it's, where have you been? What are you doing? Why is it this happening? Have you addressed your team? What did the owner say? That's the conversation now. How come? Only reason why we even having a conversation right now about the George Floyd situation in the buying of the house is because Jay brought it up.
All I'm saying, Zubin, I think it's posted everywhere on social media, but when it comes up as talking points on different shows, I don't hear people dig into the depths on scenarios like that. It's more so about how polarizing Kyrie is, and now is Kyrie a good teammate, and how's his relationship with Kevin Durant? Like that becomes more the narrative than what he's doing.
Jay is explaining it very astutely. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I'll just disagree. I'm just saying it's out. out there. Okay, you can't discuss it if it's not out there to begin with.
It is out there. There's no question about it. It's out there. But it's not being talked about like many things in the world that we see on an everyday basis. It's out there, but you pick and you choose what is important to talk about in your mind. That is what mainstream media does. Let's not act as though it's being run. There's sit downs talking about it. Nobody has tried to sit down with him to talk about it. Nobody has sat down with George Floyd's family to talk about it every single day. Why is that though? Because it's not sexy. And it's not just because it's George Floyd, other things that he's doing. It's not sexy. I get it. I understand it's not sports sexy. And that's okay. That's fine. It's not a right or a wrong. I'm just bringing up that they rather concentrate on where Kyrie was at and what he's doing.
And Key, I think we have to be, and that's why I said when this whole thing first broke, I said, hey, look, I think I need a little bit more context. Now, I wasn't provided with the context as far as what happened in Kyrie Irving's family, but I do want to make sure that we take a step back here and we think about what we have all gone through this past year and how everybody is affected differently. I'm not saying that excuses types of behavior where lack of communication to his team.
Yes.
But this has been a hell of a year, man, and everybody's dealing with this differently. And I will say this. I don't know about you, Key, but, when we were on air the first couple of weeks of our brand new show, and we felt a responsibility. I take that back. There was a responsibility because of the way you and I were raised and the color of our skin to discuss really major issues within our country, right? Major issues. And I'm saying that weighs on you. I know it weighed on me to a degree. I don't know how that affected a guy like Kyrie Irving who has a platform and a microphone in his face every single day. And there's this responsibility that we put upon athletes to say those things and to be the leaders for our society in a way, right? That's a hell of a responsibility. I don't know how it is to carry that weight in Kyrie Irving's position. That's all I'm saying.
And he's probably, and Jay and Zubin, he's probably dealing with a lot of whatever it is that he's dealing with in his life. But, I always find it funny having been a professional athlete myself. And not only that, been somewhat of, I guess you can call a polarizing figure. When things come up, people wanted to talk about what was sexy, but not the things that really mattered. And I see the same thing for a lot of guys in this day and age. You almost got to force those things to be brought up and mentioned and had conversations. And you are correct 100%, Zubin, about it is out there. But my whole point is it's not being talked about. There's not a conversation around it on an ongoing basis. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I'm just saying you can't have one without the other. I get it. We should just mention, though, Kyrie did say, to encapsulate what Key said, and obviously this is just a short statement, but, quote, he's also said